Post-traumatic stress disorder, bodywork. In ACA, we believe that the disease of family dysfunction affects the adult child in body, mind, and spirit long after the adult has left his or her family of origin. Our bodies are composed of bones, tissues, and a central nervous system connected to our brain. We think it is reasonable to believe that the body remembers much of what it experiences, just as the brain remembers what it is that it has processed and responded to. Who among us has not performed a certain task for many days or months, but we repeat the same hand motion or same reflex when the task has changed? For instance, if we stored our favorite pair of shoes in a certain area of our closet for many months, then move them, we may reach into that section of the closet before realizing that we have moved the shoes to another place. The mind and the body react automatically to a remembered task. The arm is extended into the closet before the mind realizes that the shoes are at the other end of the closet. This may happen 2 or 3 times before the mind realizes that the shoes are at the other end of the closet. This same response holds true for those of us writing checks and making an error by writing out the wrong year right after January 1st. Many of us automatically write in the wrong year before realizing that it has changed. These are simple examples of stored memory in our minds and bodies. Medical research reveals that the brain and body are inseparable as we live, breathe, feel, and sense our surroundings as children and adults. As the brain remembers and reacts automatically, so does our body. Post-traumatic stress disorder involves the mind and body and remembered responses to severe and near-severe trauma. PTSD is a documented disorder that affects adult children in addition to war veterans and victims of traumatic events. PTSD symptoms can include hypervigilance of surroundings, unexplained body sensations, increased heart rate, and being startled easily. In adult children, PTSD tends to manifest itself in hypervigilance, compulsive behavior, and hard-to-detect body sensations. It is as if our bodies have rewired themselves to protect us from severe harm or severe harm that almost occurred. Many adult children are skeptical or confused about PTSD, as we understand. We can see how our minds would store memories and adapt with survival traits to live through a dysfunctional upbringing. However, it is difficult to understand that our bodies would remember or store trauma. This skepticism is often underlined by the fact that most adult children are shut down emotionally or numbed out. We have become adept at shutting down our feelings instantly. It is difficult for us to realize what our body is trying to tell us. We ignore our body or misinterpret its language. The body's language can take on many forms that include backaches, headaches, stiff necks, tastes in the throat, genital pain or genital numbness, arm pain, foot pain, a sense of disorientation when feeling stressed or fearful. Other adult children have sharp or dull sensations in their legs or feel a lump or an obstruction in their throat. There can be diarrhea, stomach pain, or flashes of panic. With PTSD work, some ACA members will realize they hold their head in a certain way or sleep in a certain way. Some adult children realize they cannot sleep facing a doorway, while others must check and recheck locks before going to bed or leaving for a trip. Most, if not all, adult children have some degree of PTSD. However, not all such symptoms are indicators of a PTSD incident. Symptoms in the body can be caused by medical conditions, aging, or disease that are not PTSD related. PTSD caused by battering and incest is typically easier to detect or suspect. Subtle, but just as telling, forms of PTSD are also more difficult to recognize. PTSD caused by years of parental neglect and hurtful acts intermixed with moments of nurturing can be tricky to detect and to understand. We know of an adult child who seemed to love canned potatoes. She felt comfort just knowing that there was a single can of potatoes in her cupboard. As this person began addressing her ACA issues as an adult, she realized that the canned potatoes meant something more than a fondness for a peeled vegetable in a can. She realized, or her body remembered, that canned potatoes were the difference between going to bed hungry or having something to eat when her alcoholic mother went out for days without coming home. By doing ACA work, she realized, and her body remembered, the hunger pains brought on by her abandoning mother. As a child, while feeling fearful and hungry when her mother was gone, she found a can of potatoes. She ate the potatoes and felt full. Her hunger left, and she could sleep. At a young age, she felt comforted by the potatoes for two reasons. She solved her immediate problem of hunger, and she knew that she did not need her mother to take care of her. She could now take care of herself. She would take care of her sister, too. She learned to drag a chair to the edge of the stove to warm up soup, and drag the same chair to the sink to wash the dishes. She no longer had to feel hurt or abandoned by a mother that she loved and adored. The child could care for herself and not show her love for her mother because it hurt too badly when her mother left home for days. The canned potatoes represented her introduction to adulthood before she attended her first day of school as a first grader. This is a subtle example of PTSD, buried deep, but which produces a real action in the adult child's life. The memory contains PTSD elements of fear, threat to survival, and feeling alone and perhaps destitute. The memory resided in her mind and stomach. As a 30-year-old woman, she shopped for canned potatoes and thought of it as a funny nuance in her life. She was a successful professional, divorced, and raising her own daughter without relying on help from her family. However, 25 years after the original incident, this woman's body, her stomach, remembered the hunger pain but transformed it into a comforting memory of canned potatoes with the help of her brain. Through ACA work, she also realized that she had a hunger for her mother's love, a hunger she could never completely swallow. Was this adult child starved by her parents as a child? No. But there were moments of extreme hunger and a feeling of terror when nightfall would come and the house would grow dark without her mother coming home. The child's father was often away as well on business. This adult child missed enough meals that she had to find a way to take care of herself and a sister. There were acts of neglect and abuse in this woman's life. Harsh whippings, threats of beatings, and incest. As an adult, she tended to have enmeshed relationships, focusing on others and feeding them first before she fed herself. She typically placed herself last and lived with an unnamed sense of having little value as a person. When she finally walked away from an abandoning and loveless relationship, she felt like her world had ended. She was sure that she was guilty, wrong, and defective. Her own alcoholism, exposed publicly by her own behavior, caused much shame. However, she has now found the ACA way of life and realized that she has an inner strength and a real connection to God. She now reaches into her cupboard for a variety of food to nourish her body and soul.